Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. What is going on? How's everybody feeling on this Monday, August 18th? Can't believe we're already halfway through the month. How we all doing, folks? What's going on? So, no game today, no pregame today. So, Yankees are off. There's no game. So, I decided, you know what? Still want to go live. I wanted to go live and talk about something. And I wanted to talk about with all of you whether or not this Yankees team, whether they're the real deal or are we going to see more of the same. Now, why do I ask that? So the Yankees in their last 10 games, they're 7-3, right? Last 10 games, 7-3. It's a good record, I would say. Now, some will argue that they're still losing against some of the good teams, right? Yeah, they lost earlier this month. They lost a series against the Texas Rangers. They got beat by the Astros. They beat the Twins. They beat the Twins 2 out of 3. They swept the Cardinals. Beating the Twins and the Cardinals, that shouldn't mean much, right? Because these aren't strong teams. They got to beat the better teams in order for it to count. But also, my argument to that is they did lose to the Miami Marlins early in the beginning of the month. All right, so the Miami Marlins, that was a team that the Yankees should have beaten, right? They should have beaten them 2 out of 3 or even swept them. But they lost against the Marlins. They got swept by the Marlins. That's when the Miami Marlins were riding that high wave. But they've kind of somewhat come back down to reality as of late, but still the Marlins are a pesky team. I mean, we saw that yesterday when they beat the Red Sox to come back from behind, which, benefited the Yankees. Now, what I'm thinking now is with the way the Yankees have been playing as of late in the last couple of series, especially the series against the Cardinals, and yesterday was a prime example of that. And this team has shown that it can do it. They are capable. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about this team being able to play small ball, to make the defensive plays. Yeah, they had a couple of errors, sure, but they've been making the defensive plays that they needed to make. They've been helping out the starting pitching. They didn't have to solely rely on the long ball. They're able to, manufacture runs again with runners in scoring position and getting base hits and getting runs on sac flies. So these things, they matter. It shows that this team is certainly capable, and they're definitely capable of more. And speaking of the team, I don't know if you all heard, but JC Escara has been sent back down to AAA. So my assumption is that Ahmed Rosario is probably going to be activated because Ahmed Rosario was on the 10-day IL. They did say that he was going to be eligible to be activated on August 19th, which is tomorrow. So, the Yankees do get a good bat back in Ahmed Rosario. He'll be a valuable piece on the bench. Another thing that this team was doing over the weekend was stealing a bunch of bases. When was the last time you saw this team steal? When was the last time they were this aggressive on the base paths? I can't think of a time, but they have shown that in this series against the Cardinals. So everything that this team that folks say that they're not doing, they did, and they have shown that they're capable. There's been some changes, obviously, to the lineup, and with some of those changes to the lineup, I feel like it's benefiting the team a little bit more too. So I think they need to continue with some of the changes that they made in the lineup, and play the guys that are going to give you the best results. All right, right now you look at the Yankees record for the month of August. They have a 7-8 record. So they've shown a little bit of improvement as of late, but there's still a lot of work to do. Right, there's 39 games left in the season. right? So the Yankees have to try and win as many games as they possibly can. So you look at the rest of August, they have the 2-game set against the Rays, which is starting tomorrow. Then they got the 4-game set against the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. Then the Nationals coming to town. After that, they have a 4-game set against the White Sox, and that's going to close out the month of August. So really their biggest challenge is going to be the Boston Red Sox. That's going to be a crucial series. It's not going to be easy. It's definitely not going to be easy, but it's going to be definitely a dogfight in that series. All right. 4-game, it's going to be a 4-game set. Hopefully the Yankees could win 3 out of 4. I'd take 3 out of 4. If it happened, I don't wish for a split, but again, I get if it is a split, it is against the Red Sox, who they have been playing some good baseball as of late. Although, you look at their last 10, they're 4-6. The Yankees are maintaining right now. They're in their own against the Red Sox, so they're only a game and a half behind them in the standings, whether it's in the AL East or the wild card standings. It did help the Yankees. It did help that the Yankees won yesterday, especially with the Blue Jays losing, Red Sox losing. That was a game that the Yankees needed to win yesterday. So, now they're 5.5 games behind the Blue Jays for the division. Can the Yankees get back to first place? Absolutely, they can. I think it's possible that they can. Absolutely, they can. They just need to continue winning games and winning games that truly matter. And hopefully the other teams that are ahead of them will lose, and the Yankees are able to get back on track. Now, with that sweep from yesterday, last time the Yankees swept was against the Seattle Mariners, which was back in like the early part of July. It was about the second week of July where they swept the Mariners, right? And then any kind of like 3-game losing or 3-game winning streak that they had, the last time that they had anything to that effect was against the Rays towards the end of July. So during the trade deadline, that was the last time they had a 3-game winning streak, and the last time they swept was against the Mariners in the second week of July. So it's been a little while. It's been a little over a month, but hopefully with these wins that they manufactured, hopefully the way they've been playing, with some of the reinforcements coming back, hopefully we see this team hopefully finally turn the corner, because they can't afford to play around anymore. They do what they have to do, and put out the best lineup that they possibly can, and play your best guys and put them in the best situation possible to hopefully win these games. So, but we'll see what happens as the season goes on. Again, there's only 39 games left. But real quick, let me say what's up to the folks in the chat, because I know there's a bunch of you in the chat right now, and I do appreciate you all being here. Make sure you all hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you're new, share this channel out with everyone you know. I would greatly appreciate it. The channel is getting close. We're approaching 2,000 subs. So anybody that's watching this for the first time, please hit that sub button. Let me say what's up to the chat. John the Beagle Dad, first person in the building. Katie, what is up? Brooklyn's in the house. What's up, Susan? How you doing? What's up, Ken? What's going on? Jonathan is in the building. Robert is in the building. Ryan is in the building. Yo, Theo. What's up, Theo? Theo's in the building. Michael Yoder. I said what's up to Ryan. Who else we got in the building? Joseph, what's going on? How you doing, Joseph? Who else? Hey, what's up, Nithin? Shout out to Nithin Ramachandra. So Nithin hit the big 3-0 over the weekend. So welcome to the 30s. What is up, man? How's it going? How's life? I know Nithin and his team, they're always working hard behind the scenes. What's up, man? What's going on? Yo, Max Coverage, what up, man? What's going on, Max? How you doing? We got Jacob Frederick in the building. What is up? How you doing, Jacob? Ken is saying the Jays and Pirates face Skeens tonight. Skeens should take Jays out tonight. The Red Sox face the Orioles. Dustin May versus Trevor Rogers. Should bury the Sox. Yankees. Hopefully. That's a good game plan. That's a good game plan. But what I want to see more, though, all right, what I want to see more from the Yankees, number one, we got to – Nathan's still recovering? Okay. But number one, this team, they've got to play Ben Rice in the lineup more often than not. Ben Rice needs to be the catcher I don't want to say every day. I'm gonna say most days out of the week. Ben Rice needs to be behind the plate. From what I've seen, and I'm sure some of you have seen it too, his bat, he's been hitting the ball hard. I know sometimes it's bad luck. He gets hits taken away from him. He gets so close. I get it, but he's also able to still get on base. He's able to draw walks. He makes the best with his at-bats. And he needs to be catching more. He needs to be at the dish more. What's up there, Dev? How's it going? So he needs to be at the dish. I don't dislike Austin Wells. Okay, I just want to point this out, and I want to let everybody know, just because I criticize a player and their performance, it does not mean that I dislike them. Does not mean that I want them to fail. No, I want them to succeed. I absolutely want these guys to succeed. I want these guys to play the best version of baseball, that the best baseball that they possibly can, be the best version of themselves. I don't want them to be like anybody else. All right. But Ben Rice, he should be catching the majority of the time now. To me, I think he does a really good job of calling games behind the plate. I think he has a good relationship with the pitchers. I think he's got a good chemistry there, especially with guys like Will Warren. And I feel like he could develop that kind of chemistry there with the rest of the pitching, starting pitching too. I really feel that he can do it with Max Fried, with Carlos Rodon, with Luis Hill. I think Ben Rice does a good job behind the plate, and he's got an arm. He's able to throw guys out. Honestly, I remember when folks were talking about Ben Rice, his catching abilities weren't really talked about much, at least from what I remember. It wasn't really talked about, but his bat was talked about. His bat was talked about a lot. That he has a good bat, and he's got that versatility. Where he could play first base, he could play catcher, but catching is primarily his position. But I absolutely want to see Ben Rice more often than not in the lineup, and I want to see him at the dish more. Keep Paul Goldschmidt at first base, right? I know a lot of folks are not necessarily some folks may not be a big fan of Paul Goldschmidt at times because he doesn't hit righty pitching well. But you know what? His defense at first base makes a difference. It does. It makes a huge difference. And he's been solid defensively. Yankees got him at a steal this season. The Yankees haven't really had a productive first baseman in quite some time. You weren't getting much production from first base. Goldschmidt has given that to you. But back to Rice, you got to keep Rice in the lineup every day, and he should be catching the majority of the time. He should not be riding the bench. He should be catching most of the time, with Austin Wells getting catching duties, here and there, right? Because Austin Wells, to me, he's regressed quite a bit. He has not been hitting well for quite some time. It's not just this season. I mean, if you kind of go back to last season, his bat is just not what it is, and his catching abilities. I'm not saying he's bad, right? But as far as throwing guys out, yeah, he throws guys out once in a while. But he does. There are a lot of times too where the balls do get past him, and he has good qualities about him, but there's other things that he needs to work on. But I feel like Ben Rice has outshined him. But let me know what you all think. That absolutely needs to happen, though. I think Ben Rice needs to be catching more often than Wells. And I saw a couple of other people come in. What up, TC? Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Daniel Berry, what is up? Are we still hanging on to playoff hopes? I mean, they got the final wild card spot with only a half a game behind the Mariners and the Red Sox. So the answer is yes. What up, Acevedo? So, yeah, Wells is not bad at catcher, but Rice is better. Rice is better. But like I said, Rice needs to catch more often than not. And the other thing, too, is Volpe sat yesterday. Which I think was beneficial. I think it was good for him because he kind of needs that mental break. So I think him being benched yesterday was a good thing, and you had Jose Caballero play for him instead. And the Yankees are off today. Now, no doubt you'll see Volpe back in the lineup, but I think the other thing that the Yankees need to do moving forward toward, for the rest of the season is, have Caballero play in some of these games and give Volpe. I'm not saying give him the whole week off or a few days off, but plug in Caballero. Plug him into the lineup. The guy, he's beneficial to the team, and not to mention, he comes with 4 years of control. So the Yankees are going to have him for a while. I mean, Caballero can hit, he can run, he can steal. I mean, he's almost at 40 stolen bases this season. He's a hustler, and he's pesky at the plate. Fielding wise, he's not. I wouldn't say he's a bad fielder. I like him over there at shortstop. But he's another utility player. You could put him anywhere in the infield. You could put him in right field. He could play the outfield as well. But I think Caballero is a guy that he should be getting plugged in to the lineup a little bit more, and it kind of takes a little leverage off of Anthony Volpe, and it gives him some time to rest a little bit. Although Volpe in his defense, I'm not saying he's killing it. I'm not saying he's like a superstar, but lately he has been playing a little bit better. I don't know what it is, but lately it's just, I feel like there's just been a fire that has been lit under him, and he's been making better plays at shortstop. His plate approach has been has been a little bit better. He's been hitting home runs as of late, which is encouraging to see. And I'm not just solely relying on the home runs, but he's been getting some hits too. He's been trying to get on base a little bit more. I feel like his patience at the plate has been slightly better. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Volpe. Yes, there is still room for improvement for Anthony Volpe. Don't get me wrong. But I have been liking what I'm seeing from him, and I just want to pull up his stats real quick. So he scored 54 runs. He's at 94 hits. He's got 18 homers, right? 15 stolen bases. OPS is at 696, on base percentage 283, averages at 215. He's got 18 home runs, 65 RBIs. So, this guy could potentially, he'll get up to 90 RBIs for sure. No doubt about it. But I'd say those are good numbers from Volpe. If he could get that batting average up a little bit more, because Volpe, I think his batting average could be so much better than what he's showing. I'm not saying he's got to be a 300 hitter, but if Volpe could give you, if he could give you about 250, 270, I think this guy would be a lot better than what he is. to me, and I've said this many times, I think Anthony Volpe is his own worst enemy. But, back to Caballero, though, I think Caballero needs to play for him, in a few games out of the, 2 or 3 games out of the week. Plug him at shortstop. You could give Volpe a little bit more rest. Volpe will still get the majority of the playing time, no doubt. But Caballero can definitely give you some production. Caballero is going to be very beneficial to this Yankees team. He's one of those guys that the Yankees exactly need. Guy who could hit, he could run, he could play the field. So, it kind of helps out. It kind of helps out Volpe out a little bit too. And what's up there? Izzy Devo, what's up? Railbird is in the building. What is up? Sunil saying getting more Caballero in the games. Can McMahon play both hot corners with the same quality? Can McMahon play both hot corners with the same quality? I don't know if McMahon can play first base. I'm sure he can, but I don't want to play guys out of position. I'm sick of seeing guys playing out of position. Right? Keep McMahon at third. Right? I don't want this experiment of put him in at first. I'm sure he could do it, but I don't want to see it personally. Volpe's arm. I think that's what you're probably going to see in the future there, Acevedo. You're probably looking at a future second baseman in Anthony Volpe. His arm is better suited for it. And I think it would help him out tremendously. And then if they move him over to second base, obviously they're getting ready. You could still put Caballero there. I'm not saying Caballero is the long-term solution, but he's got 4 years of control. Of course, a lot of folks are betting on George Lombard Jr. So, he's, sounds like, this guy has a future with the Yankees. He's going to be your future shortstop. So I think Volpe would be better suited for second base, no doubt, with his arm. Absolutely. Right. The good thing is Caballero's on the infield. Yeah. That's what I was talking about, how beneficial he is with the team. Ken is adding here that over the 13-game stretch leading up to August 12th, Volpe was hitting .298 with 7 home runs, a double, 11 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases. This is what I was talking about. He's been a lot more productive, especially since the trade deadline. There's just been a fire that has been lit under him. So I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Volpe. Sunil is saying in the outfield, we've seen Caballero in right field, but on days when we face left-handed pitching and while Judge can't field while he's injured. Yeah. I mean, I prefer him in the infield, like I said. Infield, now he's trying to swing for the fences, not really succeeding. Well, again, he's been better, right? He's been better, but I want to see more out of him, though. I just want to see a little bit more out of Volpe. Was liking the Yankees scoring on runs on hits, stolen bases. It does need to continue. Small ball. That's exactly, and that's the thing. The Yankees need to play more of that small ball in order for them to continue succeeding and beating any team, really, whether they're teams that are worse than them or better than them. Small ball matters, man. Small ball matters, and I like seeing games where the Yankees are able to win on small ball. Even if they win a game by 1 run, I'd be okay with it. Volpe's a fast Dustin Pedroia. I guess speed-wise, Sunil's asking no players out of position. I was merely asking him about his history, if there's material to suggest otherwise. If not, then yeah. I don't know if McMahon has ever played first base. To my knowledge, no. But I could also very well be wrong here. The front office is Antagony against playing Dominguez versus left-handed pitching. Hence my point about Caballero in the outfield. I get it. Cut steps in his swing. Before he used to go up, down and swing. Now he's low and swinging. I also think Acevedo, and I mean, tell me if you see this, but I feel like his timing is still off. I feel like he swings too early when he's going against opposing pitchers. I feel like his timing is still just a little bit off, and I feel like he's too early. I feel like a lot of times he's swinging too early. But I hear what you're saying, but I feel like his swings are still off. I think his timing, clearly to me is still off. Now, I also want to put something else into perspective. All right, I know. Yes, I'm aware that the Yankees have been playing some bad baseball. Right, June and July wasn't kind to them. June and July were terrible months of baseball for the Yankees. They fell out of first place. Now all of a sudden they're third place in the AL East. They're holding on to the final wild card spot. Despite those things, they're only a half a game behind the Red Sox and the Mariners, and they're 5.5 games behind the Blue Jays. I mean, the way they've been playing, it could be a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. This team could have already been trying to fight for a wild card spot. They could have been in fourth place. Russ Morgan says tied. You're saying they're tied for the division or a wild card? Tied in the loss column? Oh, yeah, they're tied in the loss column, but I see what you're saying. Mariners and Red Sox just have one more win, though. So those guys are tied. He double guessed too much something that Kevin Long fixed on Granderson. I do remember that with Granderson. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of second guessing, a lot of hesitation. I just feel like I just feel like he swings too early. His timing is not where it needs to be. Well, listen, Robert, I'm not the person to try and compare players really. I mean, I want guys like Volpe to just be the best player that they could possibly be. Right? That's what I want. I don't care, when those comparisons, I'm not going to even say the names because really I'm not, because then it's just all these comparisons are going to happen. I don't want to even get into all of that. I just want Volpe to be the best version of himself. I want him to be Anthony Volpe. I don't need him. I don't want him being anybody else. Same thing with any Yankee players. Same thing with any future Yankee players. I don't care about the comparisons. I don't care. I don't really, buy into the whole they're going to be the next so-and-so. I just want that these guys just being themselves and let them create their own legacy. That's what I think. Well, yeah, well, Sunil, again, if this was 2023, this team would have been way out of the race in the wild card. They would have been way out of the race to try and get back into first place. So let's stop with the comparisons. I understand what you're saying. I know the Yankees have been, have suffered a little bit, but I can't really say that I'm comparing this to 2023. Different roster, different years, man. Different roster, different years. But to also put things into perspective, you look around Major League Baseball. At one point the Yankees were in first place. They had a large lead in the division. All of a sudden now they're behind. Right? AL Central, yes, the Tigers are in first place right now, but AL Central is. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. They're not like a strong division by any means, but I'm not taking anything away from the Tigers. The Tigers are a good team. All right. Now, the AL West, Seattle was leading at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Then the Astros have taken over, but the Mariners are hanging on though. They're not far behind. They're not far behind the Astros. They're a game and a half behind. All right. Then if you go look at the National League side, the NL East, all right, the Mets were leading. right? The Mets were the leaders of the NL East. They have fallen, right? Now they're 5 games behind the Phillies. And just like the Yankees, they're in third place in the wild card, right? They're trailing the Padres and the Cubs. Okay. So Phillies have been the kings of the NL East as of right now. The Mets were there, and the Mets have fallen off a little bit, right? The Mets in their last 10 games, right, 3-7. Look at the Milwaukee Brewers. Remember what the Yankees did to them in the beginning of the season, right? The Cubs were the leaders in the NL Central. Now the Cubs fell off big time. The Brewers have been taken over, right? They have 79 wins right now. The Brewers have 79 wins, right? As of right now, you look at all of baseball, they have the best record in baseball as we speak. Did anybody have that on their bingo card? I sure as hell didn't. All right. And then you look at the NL West. Yeah, the Dodgers are still in first place. But the Dodgers are still in first place, but the Padres are right behind them. The Padres are trailing them by 2 games. The Padres could very well take over first place. I mean, they've made some good moves at the deadline. There's a possibility that these guys could take over first place. It's possible, right? So why am I bringing this up? I'm only bringing these things up because a lot of folks think that it's only the Yankees that have been playing some bad baseball. Yeah, they have been playing bad baseball. You might be saying, who cares? You know what? But it does matter because there's a lot of teams right now that have regressed, and there's other teams that have stepped up. It happens every year. Yeah, it's not great that it happens to the Yankees at times, but I think the Yankees are going to get. I believe they'll get back on track. The way they've been playing as of late, it's been encouraging, and hopefully we see more of that. Hopefully we see more of that consistency from the Yankees. So they have the 2 games set against the against the Rays. I'm pretty confident they could beat the Rays in those 2 games at Steinbrenner Field. And then the big one is going to be that Red Sox series. The big one is going to be that Red Sox series. So it's a 4-game set. But this is going to be a different team, though. This Yankees team is going to be a little bit different than what the Red Sox faced the last time. And I think the Yankees this time around, I think they're going to be more prepared. Am I expecting them to sweep the Red Sox in a 4-game set? Absolutely not. No. They could go 3 out of 4. Right. I believe they could go 3 out of 4. I wouldn't be surprised though on it, if it ended up being a split. Red Sox are a good team. Red Sox are a good team. No doubt about it. Looking at their schedule right now, I mean, you look at August, they swept the Astros. Then, they beat the Royals 2 out of 3. They lost the series to the Padres. Then they lost the series to the Astros. And they beat the Marlins 2 out of 3. Yesterday they collapsed. The Marlins just came back out of nowhere and won that game. And now, they have a 2-game set against the Baltimore Orioles. And then their schedule gets a little bit easier from there. So just catching up with the comments here. Susan says, I don't dislike Volpe as a person. He's a good kid. However, his play really needs some improvement. Well, he's been improving a little bit more at the plate. He's been a little bit better, but I certainly want to see more, for sure. Susan says, I really hope Boone doesn't put in pitchers that can completely blow a game. Case in point, Duvall, Williams, and Leiter. Well, I think Duvall's a good pitcher. I think he needs to still work on his control. He's got the stuff. He's got good stuff. I just think that he needs better control. The guy could strike folks out. No doubt about it. He could strike folks out, but I just don't know how he does in like tight game situations. I don't know if you want to put him in there, but like yesterday, the game was tied up. Yeah, he gave up that solo home run, but after he gave up that solo home run, he was able to get out of the inning, right? He was able to get guys out right after that. I mean, it could have been a lot worse as far as that goes. But he still was able to get the job done. Devin Williams, right? We all get nervous when Devin Williams gets put into the game, but last couple of outings, Devin Williams has looked comfortable, right? He's been able to go 1, 2, 3. However, Devin, I think we could all agree. I think we could all agree that Devin Williams should not be put in situations where the Yankees are up by 1 run. He needs to be put in low leverage situations where, it's like a 6th, 7th inning, maybe game is tied or the Yankees are down by 1. I think that's when you need to put in Devin Williams, because last couple of outings that where he went out to pitch, he looked more comfortable. It didn't look like he was under a lot of pressure. That's how you need to utilize a guy like Devin Williams. Same thing with Mark Leiter Jr. I'm not comfortable putting him, in the 8th or 9th inning. Not really. I think he's more of a, 6th or 7th inning guy. Personally, I'd like to see him more in those situations. The guy that should be closing, I mean, right now it seems like, Bednar has earned his rights. I like seeing Bednar closing games. I like what he's been doing since he's been traded to the Yankees. Yeah, I heard about the realignment proposal, Snell, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. That's going to be for a different day. As far as who I think gets called up in September, who do I think? I could tell you who I want to get called up. The one guy for sure, I want Spencer Jones to get called up. I think he deserves it. And as far as the other player that gets called up, it's going to be a pitcher. My guess, it's more than likely going to be Jake Bird, probably, because Jake Bird just got recently sent back down to work on his command. So I think Jake Bird is a good pitcher. I think there's he's got the stuff, right? But there's things that he absolutely needs to work on. But I do see Jake Bird, right? I like to see Jake Bird come back up, and then along with Spencer Jones. I think those are going to be the two guys that should be called up. Who do I think the Yankees are going to call up? You never know, but I think Jones and Bird need to be the guys that get called up. As long as Jake Bird continues improving, I mean that's the biggest thing. So I know he's down there to work on his pitches. Richard Chin says, I think it'll be Yarborough. I think Yarborough will be back a lot sooner. Him and Fernando Cruz, I think, will be back together. And then what kind of moves the Yankees make when those two guys come back, we'll see. And the other thing, too, is with Spencer Jones, I know I'm saying I want to see Spencer Jones get called up, but the thing is, Jones is not even on the 40-man, so they're gonna have to make room for him. So there is also that. Oh, like I was saying, Yarbrough and Cruz are going to be back together, or if not at close. You know, those guys will be back somewhere around the same time. You might one of them, if it's one of them might be up first. You might see Cruz come back first, or Yarbrough come back first, and then right after that, you're not gonna then who gets axed. I don't know, but if and when Fernando Cruz and Yarbrough arrive back off the IL, who's getting that's a good question. I have no idea, Sunil. Because also keep in mind you have Jonathan Loaisiga too. Now Aaron Boone did say that he is in play, but you never know if he'll be back. Putting Slater on the 60-day IL. Well, I think they're going to try and utilize Slater though. Unless they decide to put him on the 60-day IL, then that makes it easy to call up Jones. So Hedrick back to AAA and a DFA to follow. So Hedrick, I could see heading back to AAA. And if you look at the Yankees' current pitching, if we look at their bullpen, I mean Hedrick, and then what do we think? De Los Santos, Mark Leiter Jr., Loaisiga maybe gets cut. I don't think Devin Williams is going to get cut. I think the Yankees are going to utilize Devin Williams. Yeah, unfortunately, Loaisiga, he just never ended up being the pitcher that we were all hoping to be. Hoping he would have been. You know, I think they could see. I could see them sending Hedrick back to AAA though, 100%. But who's the other guy that gets the axe? You know, again, I'm looking at the bullpen arms here. It's really hard to say. I mean, my other guess would be De Los Santos, but I like De Los Santos, or Loaisiga could get DFA too. They should keep De Los Santos. DFA Loaisiga, as much as I hate to see it. Williams is your first choice to fly out the cuckoo's nest. Yeah. What's up, Bill? How's it going, dude? Jonathan Loaisiga would get DFA. That makes more sense, honestly, Acevedo. To me, that makes more sense. But I think it was but Loaisiga and Hedrick. I think Hedrick will head back to AAA, and then Loaisiga will probably he'll probably get designated for assignment. Nah, they didn't DFA Escara. Escara got optioned back to AAA, and Rosario is going to come back probably tomorrow. I remember the Yankees were saying that Rosario was eligible off of the IL, starting tomorrow. So, you like the haircut? Thanks, Bill. Yeah, it's probably gonna be the last time I'm gonna keep it like this for a while, just because fall and winter coming up. I'll probably keep the hair a little bit longer. What up in Furnace? What's going on? How many options does Escara have before they have to trade him? He's got options. I don't know how many, but he's got some options. The Yankees, I'm not worried about him. Hedrick and De Los Santos will be sent down, but they can keep De Los Santos and DFA Yarbrough. I don't know that they're going to DFA Yarbrough, man. I think the Yankees like Yarbrough, and I wouldn't mind having another lefty in the bullpen, honestly. And Yarbrough is one of those guys, he can give you 3 or 4 innings. Russ from X is saying the scouting report was probably more suited for outfield or first base, and he played DH and first. Who are you talking about? Who are you referring to there, Russ? I was just curious. But yeah, let's see. Oh, Wells. Okay. He was probably more suited for outfield or first base, and he played. Yeah. So how did he end up at the catching position then? How did that end up working out? I mean, how did it end up? How did that end up happening? If he was more suited for the outfield and or first base, and he played DH, and interesting, and he ended up at catcher. Is Judge ready to play right field? The only thing I could say from that is just Aaron Boone, based on his comments, right? He said that you could see him in the Tampa series. He did say Cardinals or Tampa, so maybe we see him back tomorrow in right field. McMahon has played 95 games at first. Okay. So he has some experience at first base, but I'd rather keep him at third. I mean, just keep him where he's better. It's good to know that he's played 95 games at first. He was drafted as a catcher. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how did that happen? I'm curious. So Russ is adding here that he was a catcher in college and split time too. The scouts said his path was more suited, was a part-time catcher at U of A. Okay. And reports last year was Rice was the better defensive catcher. See, that's interesting to me about Ben Rice, because whenever I've talked to, there was a couple of people I talked to about Yankee prospects, and you didn't really hear too much about Ben Rice as a catcher. Maybe I didn't talk to enough people there, Russ, but you never really heard too much about his defensive abilities as a catcher. You heard about his bat. You did hear about his bat, but not so much his defensive abilities. I don't think so. They as far as the no beard policy thing goes, I don't think they're going to I don't think it'll be reinstated. I don't think it'll be reinstated. I mean, Cashman, he did say that every year it's something that they have always talked about every single year during the meetings of like the beard policy. And yeah, Devin Williams did express his opinion and his desire to keep his beard. And I think from having that conversation, I think the Yankees finally were like, you know what, let's change this policy. And to me, I don't, beard or no beard, I don't think that should affect the player's ability to play the game. I don't see the comparison here. I really don't. Hey, Desiree, good of you to join us. What's going on? Good to see you, Desiree. My man Furnace is in the building too. What up? If I didn't already say what up to you, I apologize. Yeah, I agree with Susan here. I don't, they have a beard or no beard. It doesn't make a difference. Who cares? Honestly, keep it groomed. That's fine. The Yankees have said to keep it groomed, but it sounds like even before Devin Williams was ever on this team, it sounded like it's been talked about during meetings, the whole beard policy, whether or not they should do away with it. Should they keep it? These aren't my words. These are Brian Cashman's words, and I'm just not saying word for word. I'm just trying to interpret what he was saying. But I think he will is more in the Yankees mode. Who's that, Russ? Sorry, I'm just trying to make out what you're saying here, bud. Sunil says he's been crapping the bed heavily. So, from a perspective of changing policies from a low contributing player, you might be excited to think about it. Yeah, but again, the beard shouldn't determine how good of a player someone is. I think that's a bunch of crap. Cool, Katie. She's enjoying a new puppy. I am paraphrasing. Yes, I am paraphrasing. Well, evil empire or not, I mean, it's just keep the beard. I mean, keep the beard. Don't keep the beard. I mean, just keep it optional. Doesn't matter. I really don't. I never really cared. What up, Sco? What's going on? You're having a special dinner. It's chicken vegetable soup, pastrami. All right. Dropping the food options. Yeah. You know, we always talk about food in this chat. So if you want to talk about what you're going to eat tonight, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Hey, what's up, Cecilia? What's going on? You're all good. I've been live for almost an hour, so I'm just wanted to go live today. Just wanted to chat it up with all of you fine folks. Seeing if just want to get a feel for if you all think this Yankees team is the real deal, or are we going to see more of the same? What Yankees catcher had 180 hits or more 4 years in a row and threw out 50 runners in each of those 4 seasons? No cat in the history of MLB has ever done that. Who was that Yankee catcher? It's a good trivia question. I'll let everybody else answer that one. I don't know. No game today, Bill. Yeah, you're guessing Posada. I'm thinking even. Yeah, I was thinking Yogi. I was thinking more of the old school catchers. Which free agent do I think they'll mostly target? Shoot, it won't be Kyle. I mean, it won't be Kyle Tucker. Personally, I don't think it will be Kyle Tucker. I don't think the Yankees are going to spend money on him. It'll be a pitcher. I think they'll go after pitching. But if you're talking Yankee players there, Theo, if you're talking Yankee players, I think Weaver, they should sign him back. Bellinger, if he opts out of his player option, they should absolutely sign him back. No doubt. Acevedo says hopefully they go for pitching. I think that should be their main target is pitching in the offseason. That's what I personally think. Yeah, Thurman Munson. Yeah, I was thinking it was an old school catcher there, Robert. I didn't. Posada didn't cross my mind. I was thinking Munson or Yogi Berra, but I wasn't sure. Celia says, nice. I think we're on an uptick. Plus, I want to. Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure a lot of fans would like to see a World Series rematch, particularly us Yankees fans, in the hopes that the Yankees get their revenge. What's up, Stephen B? What's going on? Just checking to see if there's any news or anything related to the Yankees, but not so much. Weaver will cost over $10 million a season. After paying him $2 million, will be worth it. I mean, I'll say it like this, Acevedo. Would you rather be paying a closer or a good pitcher. Well, let's say a closer. Would you rather be paying a closer 18 to 20 million, or would you rather be paying somebody 10 million a season? I don't think 10 million a season. I don't think 8 to 10 million a season is unreasonable for Weaver. I mean, he's earned it. Yeah, he's had a few hiccups here and there for sure, but I think I'd rather pay him than pay Devin Williams. No, Bednar is not going to be a free agent. Duvall's Bednar and Duvall are both they're both under team control. No, Bednar's not a free agent, Snell. David Bednar should be under team control. I'll even check that right now. Yeah, he's under team control for this season and next season, and then he'll be a free agent in 2027. Yeah, Williams is going to be gone. Yeah, they got control of Bednar and Duvall. I think the Yankees should sign Weaver back. I don't know if it'll be 10 million per season, but I'd rather have him than Devin Williams. Devin Williams ain't coming back. That's for sure. I think he'll be better suited elsewhere. I would love to have Weaver back. You having Weaver, Duvall, Bednar, and the Yankees are going to have some other, hopefully, arms coming back. Guys like Jake Cousins. I was hoping Jake Cousins would have been back. They still have Fernando Cruz. So there's arms that there's arms that they'll have in that bullpen. Right, Sunil? But back to the original topic though, when it comes to the Yankees, I mean, I don't know, you all tell me whether or not this team is the real deal or are we going to see more of the same. It's been encouraging seeing how this team has played as of late. Again, they're 7-3 in their last 10. Month of August was a rough one to start, but they're 7-8 now. I really think they could end the month of August on a strong note. This team is capable. They got the players to do it. They just need to show it on the field. And against the big teams, against the better teams, they need to play more of that small ball. This team is capable of playing small ball, and I think they got the guys to do it. And they've been trying to get a little bit more aggressive with the stealing of bases, and they have been using more pinch hitters. I mean, I don't know if you all recall, but there was a time where there was pinch hit opportunities for the Yankees, but they just couldn't. They never really utilized it much. But then again, you looked at their bench and what they had. There wasn't their options weren't really good. You look at their bench now; they have better options. So I feel like Boone is a little bit more comfortable using some of the guys that he has in a pinch hit situation. So, Mark Gates says Will should have gotten sent down and not Escada, and Caballero should start at shortstop and Volpe as the backup shortstop. Well, I think the thing is, I think he should be sent down to work on some things. No doubt there, Mark. Volpe's not going to be the backup though. They're gonna continue putting Volpe out there, but it was like I was saying earlier in the live stream. I think Volpe should get a couple of days off during the week and just to give Caballero some more playing time because he is productive. I do like Caballero. And like I said, they have him for 4 more years. There's no doubt about that. But Volpe's not going to be the backup though. Cashman's ego want to send Volpe down. Well, Volpe's not going to go back down. I mean, even before Caballero, there was no way that Volpe was going to be sent back down. Let's be honest there, Acevedo. Who was going to play in his place? We weren't comfortable with Pablo Reyes, right? We weren't comfortable with Oswald Peraza. There wasn't really options, and folks were going way off, saying they should bring up George Lombard Jr., which no, absolute no. He needs to continue developing. But if there's, Wells should be the guy that he should get. There's things that he needs to work on. He's regressed a lot, for sure. Sunil is saying it has been encouraging to see that. I agree with you. Just show me the same performance. Yeah, and to your point here, Sunil, if this was the 2023 Yankees, they would have lost 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals. Maybe they would have lost 2 out of 3 against the Twins. Just throwing it out there, dude. Yeah, I know. Volpe ain't going nowhere. Volpe ain't going nowhere, whether we like it or not. Unless the only way he goes anywhere is if the Yankees organization says, "Okay, we're moving on from Volpe." It's as simple as that. But like I was saying, I like what I'm seeing. I like what I've been seeing from this New York Yankees team. Now, if they could just do this against the teams that are competitive, that are good, that are, like the Red Sox, Astros, Blue Jays. If they could do it against teams like that, this team is going to be in really good shape. But I want to see more of the small ball. I want to see more aggressiveness on the base paths. I want to see, more of that situational baseball from the Yankees, right? I want these guys to have more patience at the plate. As far as the bats go, on the pitching side of things, pitchers, yeah, I know it's been up and down, right, with the Yankees pitching. I get it. You could say the same thing about the bats. The pitching, though, my biggest thing with the pitching is get that strike 3 call, man. Get that strike 3, because every time every time there's 2 strikes, opposing teams, this is what they do. They'll foul off balls. They'll make pitchers throw extra pitches that that don't need to be thrown, or we don't want them to be thrown, because it just means the pitch count gets higher. And starting pitching, in this case, they don't get to pitch in longer innings. They're not able to go that 6 or 7 innings. They're only going sometimes 5 1/3. Right. Get that, they need to get that final strike 3 call, because a lot of times we've been seeing opposing teams, getting those hits or getting those walks with 2 outs. And they keep the inning alive, so yeah, I like for the Yankees to get to get that strike 3 call, sooner rather than later. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's what I would like to see. And I'd like to see more, a little bit more from some of the guys in the bullpen. I mean, a few guys that I trust, other guys still iffy, but hopefully we can, hopefully they can turn it around. Great case and example of what you just said about the pitchers of the strike zone is a Fried outing versus, Fried, I don't know if Ken is still in the chat, because I was talking with Ken earlier. I don't want to take credit for what he said, but he said something about Max Fried. Now, I know Max Fried's command has been a little bit off. I know that I don't know if it's the blisters or it's just, or if it's just in general his command is off. But yeah, he hasn't looked the same. He has not looked the same. I don't know. Yeah, because I was talking with Ken, And Ken, if you're still in the chat, I'm mentioning your name. He was saying that Matt Blake was changing the grip on his pitches. Why that is, I don't know. But if Ken was in the chat, I don't know if Ken's still in the chat, but maybe he could chime in a little bit more on that. But I didn't notice, at least I didn't notice that, Matt Blake was changing the grip on his pitches. But that's what Ken was telling me when we were talking earlier. Cecilia says World Series a bust, baby. Belly's got the World Series pedigree, so the Yankees have a chance for sure. Zedge ringtones. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His pitches have not looked good. His outings have not looked good. His command is not there. His command is definitely not there. There, Acevedo. Again, I don't know if it's the blisters or on his fingers, or is it just he just lost his command? Did something happen? Or again, I was talking with Ken earlier. I don't know if Ken's still in the chat, but he was saying that Matt Blake was changing the grip on his pitches, was getting him to change the grip on his pitches. And if that's the case, it does take a while for the pitcher for a pitcher to, make those adjustments and get those reps and master it. You know what I mean? So, do I think Bellinger's staying? I think he wants to stay. So, if he I think he'll exercise his player option. I could be wrong here, but he does have a player option. I think he will exercise it. If not, I think if he opts out, I think the Yankees will offer him a contract. I think the Yankees will definitely give him a contract. He wants to be a New York Yankee. He wants to be in pinstripes. So Blake is trying the same they did with Weaver grips. Yeah. And I guess I get it. You know what I mean? Like every pitching coach is going to be different when it when it comes to grips and how they want their pitchers to grip the baseball, how they want to approach opposing teams. So if that's the case, that makes sense why maybe why Fried has been may have been struggling as of late. But hopefully he can figure out sooner rather than later, because definitely need him to. We certainly need Max Fried to, bust out of his shell and get back to the Max Fried that we all know from the beginning of the season. But I think he could turn it around personally. So Susan thinks Bellinger could opt out, and thinks the Yankees will re-sign him. I think, yeah, if he does opt out, I think the Yankees will re-sign him. And keep in mind, he's also 30 years old. What kind of contract? If he does opt out, you got to wonder what kind of contract he's going to get. He's 30. Also got to keep that in mind too. So, but anyway, folks, yeah, I just wanted to go live for a little bit. I know it's not a pregame. I know it's not a play-by-play, but I wanted to go live and just talk about some things, and I'm glad that I got to talk about some things. And yeah, Acevedo, he is a Boris client, so who knows, right, at this point. But also remember the last time Bellinger was a free agent, he was a free agent for a while. Certainly didn't get the contract that he was looking for. He ended up signing a 3-year contract with the Cubs, and with the Cubs, he had an opt-out after each year. So I think let's see what he does this time around, because that year Bellinger took a while to get a contract. So did Blake Snell. So did Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery ended up firing him, and he went with a different agent. So, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, Fried still deserves it. I think he still gets the ball for game 1 in the postseason for sure. Yeah, Bellinger wants to be a Yankee. And I think the Yankees like him. Bellinger likes the Yankees. So something is gonna. It'll work itself out, I think. Yeah, Pete Alonso got screwed by Boris too. What are you gonna do? But anyway, folks, we'll talk about this stuff more at a later time. I am gonna get going, but once again, I do appreciate you all hanging out on this Monday. I know there's no game today, but we will definitely be back. I will definitely be back tomorrow with a pregame and a play-by-play. So I hope to see all of you here for the pregame and the play-by-play. So I do appreciate you all tuning in as always. So make sure you all hit the like button on the way out if you haven't yet. If you're watching this on the rerun, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's continue growing this channel. The Strike Zone is slowly approaching 2,000 subs. If we get to 2,000 subs, I'm going to do a couple of giveaways. So stay tuned for that. And keep sharing this channel out, folks. It would mean a lot to me. So thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening or Monday afternoon, wherever you may be. Thank you all very much. Take care. And as always, let's go Yankees. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.